Hey everybody, it's me, your boy 10. So, I am doing the very, very rare um nighttime vlog slash review slash conversation. So, just to preface the video by saying that I'm not in the best area in terms of light, but I'm comfortable. I had minor surgery a couple days ago, so I'm still in some pain. So, I'm just trying to sit as comfortable as I can. But I wanted to talk about Mortal Kombat for a little while because I actually just finished the movie and I have thoughts. Now, this will be a spoiler free review. I'm going to try my best not to spoil any major plot points for people who haven't watched it. So, Mortal Kombat came out um, on April 8th, on, which is funny, came out in theaters on my birthday. And it was just released to HBO Max, which is how I watched it. I just finished it on HBO Max. So, so, um, if you don't know, I am a Mortal Kombat fan. I grew up playing the games. They were some of my favorite games, aside from Street Fighter. Mortal Kombat was my absolute favorite game to play as a kid. It was bloody, it was gory, it was fun. I love fighting games, and so, and so, I'm also a fan of the '90s Mortal Kombat movies. We all know that Mortal Kombat Annihilation was not a good movie, but um, it was still fun seeing um, these characters in the video games that I love so much on screen. And the first Mortal Kombat movie, I liked it personally. The one that came out in the '90s, I thought it was actually really good. It was a little cheesy, but it was the '90s. But I would say that this Mortal Kombat is more of an origin story um, than anything. Um, it's more of an origin story about, honestly, a lot of our characters, a lot of the characters, like our main characters, like Sonya Blade and Liu Kang and Jax, and even our antagonist. Um, I'm sorry. Um, Even our antagonist, um, Sub Zero, we get a an origin story about him, as well as Scorpion. Um, I'm sorry. Ugh. So, just trying to catch my breath here. It's kind of hot down here. So, let, let's start off with what I really liked about the movie. So, the movie was very bloody, very gory, something that the '90s movies lacked. The '90s movies were definitely marketed more towards uh, PG-13 and like younger kids. So it was like Mortal Kombat, but like for the tween generation. This movie is 100% bloody, gory. Like, oh my god, it was amazing. So much blood, so much gore, and like good blood and gore effects. A lot of our characters use some of their signature moves. There's a couple times where um, a character will say, a character will say, or a narrator will say fatality, or they'll play like their signature sound before they go in for the kill. So it was really good. It was really good, and I really liked that it was bloody and gory, and it was Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat is known for how gory and like how much work and time they put in to make these great fatalities. So it was awesome to see that on the screen. So kudos Mortal Kombat creators for really giving us something great on the screen that reminds us of the game. So, like I said, I would say that this Mortal Kombat is an origin story. It tells us the main origin story of Sub Zero and Scorpion, who are bitter enemies, and we get to know why. I'm not going to get too much into exactly what's going on because this is a spoiler free review. So I'm not going to say, oh, Sub Zero is the way he is because of ABC. If you want to know, watch the film. Um, but I will say that I think that I really like the costume of Sub Zero more in this one. They relied less on CGI, which it was heavily CGI'd in the 90s. And like I said, the Mortal Kombat in the 90s was more campy. This one was a little bit more darker in tone. It had its more campy moments, but for the most part, it was pretty dark. Um, kind of like it kind of reminded me of like the DC EU. Um, and that's neither bad nor good. But but um, so Mortal Kombat 2021, it's definitely different in the tone of the film. Like I said, it's much darker, um, bloodier, gorier, more intense than the 90s Mortal Kombat, which, like I said, was more campy. This is not campy. This is deep dark with little bits of humor, but I will say that for the most part, the humor did not hit for the most part. Um, I could tell that the actors were trying to lighten up the mood and put the light with the dark, but the jokes just did not land for the most part. And honestly, that's not any real fault of the actors. I just think that maybe if the jokes were timed differently, it could have worked better. Um, so, for the most part, I really liked all of the actors who played the characters. I don't really know much about the actress who plays Sonya. Her name's Jennifer or Jessica or something like that. And she definitely looks like Sonya. I guess the only thing I would say is that she's a little thinner than what Sonya is. But if you've seen Mortal Kombat, you know that how they draw the women characters are these like almost impossible expectation of how the body should look. So, I'm not mad about the fact that she was a little thinner. The actress who played her in the 90s version, I think really looked like her, like on point, like statuesque and everything. But ultimately, we care about Sonya because the bitch can fight. And I gotta say that the actress did a pretty good job playing this like badass, the Sonya that we know, and I really actually ended up liking her because I didn't know how I felt about her when she first came on screen, but she gradually really, I think, embraced being Sonya. So kudos to her. Um, and then I also want to talk about the actors who play Sub Zero and who play Scorpion. Um, I touched on the fact that I really like that they didn't rely a lot on CGI on this one. There's a lot of CGI in the 90s one. There's in like 90s CGI, it was not great. It does not hold up. But instead of focusing too much on CGI, they focused on just getting great actors who have martial arts experience, who've been in the business for a long time and who just really know what they're doing. And I love that. I love that we get actors in this film, for the most part, who know what they're doing when it comes to the fight choreography, making it look effortless. I know that a handful of the actors do martial arts or have been doing action movies for a long time. I know the actor who played Scorpion specifically has been in a lot of movies and is very, very popular, and very, very lauded for the work that he does. And I want to get his name. Hold on here. His name is Haruyuki Sanada. Haruyuki Sanada is a fantabulous actor. I've seen him in a couple of things, and I really, really, really like him. Um, I know that he has martial arts experiences and that he's played ninjas um, before, and he is very, very talented. So kudos to him. And also the actor who played Sub Zero, who I'm not as familiar with. His name is Joe Taslim. He was really, really, really good as well. Um, he it says here that he's a martial artist, and I could tell by watching him that he was the martial artist and that he knew what he was doing, and that's why the fights between Sub Zero and Scorpion are some of the best choreographed, because you can tell that these two actors, not only are they, really acting the house down and playing these two bitter enemies, but they know what they're doing. They know how to make the fighting look effortless. They're both very talented martial artists, so kudos to them. Another thing that I really want to say is thank God Raiden was not white in this, because before Raiden comes on screen, I literally am sitting here and I'm like, I swear to God, if Raiden's white in this, I'm going to scream. Why would Raiden be white? Why would he be white? Like, it didn't make any sense. And the actor who played Raiden in the original film was, like, in the original 90s film, was really funny, but I didn't get why. Like, why was he white? Why would this, like, old god in Asia be a white man with long white hair? I don't know. But I was very happy to see that he was not a white man. And I really liked this version of Raiden a lot more than the 90s version. But once again, this version of Raiden really fits the darker tone. It was more campy in the 90s. This is darker. This is a little bit more edgier. So kudos to them casting, Asian people to play Asian people. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about Liu Kang. So Liu Kang was played by Ludi Lin is his name, and he's a Chinese Canadian actor. Yes, I was trying to figure out where I'd seen him before. He played Zack Taylor in the Power Rangers reboot that came out in 2017. Um, so the original actor who played Liu Kang in Mortal Kombat in the 90s, name is, hold on, Robin Robin Shu. I really want to pronounce his name right. Robin Shu. And he's a Chinese actor. He was a really great Liu Kang, in my opinion, as somebody that's played the games and has some knowledge of the games and stuff. And let me just go by saying to all the fanboys that are about to jump on here, I am not a Mortal Kombat expert. I just am someone who loves the game, plays the games growing up, love Mortal Kombat, um, and I just really love seeing these characters on screen. But I don't know everything about Mortal Kombat, but these are just my opinions. So Ludi Lin plays our um, Liu Kang in the Mortal Kombat reboot. Now, this is a younger Liu Kang, so I can forgive the fact that he isn't this force that he was in the original film and in the video games. He's much younger. Ludi Lin is definitely playing a more younger Liu Kang who still hasn't figured out um, how special he is, you know, in essence, you know. He's, you know, he becomes he's one of the main characters. In this film, Liu Kang is not a main character quite yet, but the ending did tease a sequel. So if I know if the movie makes money, there will most likely be a sequel, and I think that Liu Kang will be right in the middle of it, right in the thick of it. So I think Ludi Lin did a pretty good job. I think that Ludi Lin is um, still a newer actor, and I think that some of the acting was a little spotty at points, but that's that's that could be a million things. For the most part, I really liked what he brought to Liu Kang. Okay, now let's talk about Kano. So Kano was definitely our comic relief in the film, and Kano is played by an actor named Josh Lawson. Um, you know, he plays a really horrible, you know, character, and he plays it well. So I think his casting as Kano was pretty good. The only thing is that Kano is a little bit more muscular, a little bit more imposing. This actor, you know, he's pretty tall, but um, I would have liked to see Kano played by somebody who was more bigger, a little bit more stockier. This actor was pretty tall, but not, he just didn't have that big Kano appearance. Not like the actor in the 90s movie who really, I think, embodied Kano. Um, Let it be known, Johnny Cage is not in this film. But once again, um, there was sequel bait, and the sequel bait does involve some some or may involve Johnny Cage. I'm not. It's very small. I don't think that's that big of a spoiler, which is why I think I'm comfortable saying that. But Johnny Cage is not in the film. So if you're expecting Johnny Cage to be in the film, he's not in this film. If there's a sequel, I'm 99.9% sure that he will be in the sequel. Okay, Shang Tsung. Okay, Shang Tsung is our big baddie. So the actor who played Shang Tsung was not bad. He was not bad. I just think that the actor who played Shang Tsung in the Mortal Kombat um like movies, which the actor's name is Kerry Haruyuki Tagawa, he just really embraced the absurdity of this character. And I think that the newer actor, um, I wish he would have had a little bit more fun, but he was just going with the theme of the darker tone. So that's no fault of the actor. But one of my favorite parts of Mortal Kombat in the 90s version is that Kerry Fukujawa, let me make sure I am saying his name right. We are pronouncing names right in this. Kerry Tagawa. Kerry Tagawa really was just a force. I could not take my eyes off of him. So, um, this, you know, this take on the character is not a bad take. But I hope he's not as serious in the next movie. I would like to see a little bit more of that madman that is Shang Tsung. You know what I mean? Um, who else? Melina. So Melina's one of my favorite characters. Whenever I play Mortal Kombat, 99.9% of the time, I'm going to choose Melina because I love Melina. So Melina was played by a black woman in this version, which I don't think that that's a problem at all because, um, I mean, she's a fictional character, so her being white is not a big deal. Um, so I think that the actress did a fine job, but Melina is not a main character. She's in the film, she's got the look right, she's got the attitude right, the sexiness, but also the um scariness of like when she opens her mouth and she really gets, brutal, ready to rip your head off. So she did really good with that. So I have I don't have any problem. And this actress name is Sissy Stringer, and I think she did a pretty decent job. But once again, Melina was not a main character, so you know it is what it is. Um, so those are honestly, and then now we're going to talk about Cole. So Cole Young is our protagonist. I'm not going to tell you why he's so special because that would be a spoiler. But Cole Young is our main protagonist of the movie. He's our main character, and he's played by Louis Tan, who does a fine job. And if you don't know who Louis Tan is, he played Shatterstar in um, Deadpool 2. I was trying to figure out where I knew him from, and then I looked it up, and I was like, oh yeah, he played Shatterstar in Deadpool 2, and that's where I know him from. Um, he's also a stuntman, so I'm pretty sure that he probably did a good amount of his own stunts, I would say. Um, I would think so. But, I can't. Yeah, yeah. He performs his own stunts. And like I said, everybody in this film knew what the heck they were doing. He knew how to, he felt comfortable as a fighter. And I like that they casted people who have experience in martial arts or in, you know, choreography because it helped. It helped it not look as clunky and as weird as like the original. Because there were times with the fighting scenes in the original, I'm like, oh my god, what the heck's going on? Um, so I think Lewis Tan did just fine. Um, Kung Lao was love his this hat. I think the actor who played him, his name is Max Wong, did pretty good. And like I have no um really he was funny. Goro. Goro, Goro. Yes. Goro in the 90s, they use more practical effects, which is great. For the 90s, it looks great. But when you watch it back as an adult, you're like, oh my God. They use CGI with Goro, and I think they might have used um, um, some practical stuff. Goro looked so much better in this film. He was so much more imposing. He wasn't as silly as he was in the 90s version, which once again was more campy. So Goro was awesome. I really love seeing him on screen. They did the character uh, so much justice. So wow, wow. So all in all, I'm talking about a lot of the characters, but let's just jump right into let's just talk about the movie right quick. So, as a whole, did I enjoy the film? Yes. As a whole, I enjoyed the film. I will say that it started off really, really good, and then it lagged a little bit, and then it got good again. Oh, I forgot to talk about Jax. So, Makad Brooks as Jax was actually really good. I think that he really beefed up for the role. Jesus Christ. Mehcad Brooks did a really good Jax. I enjoyed him as Jax. Once again, he was a little bit more serious, unlike our Jax in the in the um, um, in the original, played by Gregory McKinney in the first film, um, was definitely a different take on Jax, but Mehcad Brooks was great. So I don't believe I almost forgot to talk about him, but I really like Mehcad Brooks as Jax, and I hope to see him in the next film. Um, so as a film, as a whole, I really enjoyed the film. I had a geekgasm, is what I said at the beginning. But it definitely, it's really hard to build a world um, where there's so much mythos and there's so much lore and fit it in a 2 hour movie. It's really hard. And you can tell because it felt like there were some things missing. Felt like there was some things left on the cutting room floor that they just couldn't fit, you know. They were trying to condense it in this 2 hour film. Now, I think that if you compare this to Mortal Kombat Annihilation, it's 10 times better. It's 10 times better. I still prefer the original Mortal Kombat over this one just because, like I said, I grew up with it. That was the one I grew up with. But they're two different styles of movies, of films. So I think that this Mortal Kombat would be second for me. So it would be Mortal Kombat 95, Mortal Kombat 2021, and then dead last would be Mortal Kombat Annihilation for obvious reasons. Um, so I think that this film, I think that this film has a lot of potential to start a really great franchise. I really, really do. I think that it has the potential. Once again, I love seeing people of color, led cast. Most of the cast is people of color, and that's super important because in the unfortunately in the original film there was some whitewashing of some major characters. So I love that there's a lot of people of color in the film. So yes to that. Um, I think you know it's still too early to tell, but the chances of there being a sequel seem to be pretty high. I wouldn't be surprised if they've already started shooting the sequel because honestly, you could just like go from there, you know. And um, for the most part, the reviews have been pretty middle of the road. Um, People are in agreement that Kano was great, and I have to say, yeah, he was great. Great actor. He was great. He was funny. He was our well-needed comic relief in a very dark film. So Kano did great. I did read that someone thought that Lewis was playing an interesting Lewis Tan character. I would say that he was written that way, and that I think that Lewis Tan did what he could with what he was given. And I hope to see more of him in the next film because I feel like you can do something great with him. And then we can, kind of incorporate his story with Liu Kang's story, which should be central in the next film. Um, he's our main protagonist and one of them, like, he's one of the well-known names, when you think Mortal Kombat, you think, like, Liu Kang, um, Sonya Blade, like, he's one of the ones who come up. So, I think that it has the quality to be a great franchise, but we'll have to see. We will have to see because the jury's still out. All in all, I give the film, if you're a fan of Mortal Kombat, if you're a fan of the 90s films, if you're just a fan of like martial arts films or video game films, give it a watch. Honestly, I think that a B is actually perfect. So I feel like they trying to build the Mortal Kombat world, all these worlds is really hard, and I think that they did really good with the time that they had. So I'm gonna give it a solid B and say that if you enjoy Mortal Kombat, give it a watch. You won't be bored, that's for sure. You won't be bored. They have some really great fight scenes, especially like I said, the tension between the actors who play Scorpion and Sub Zero are really great. You believe these two people hate each other. Like it's great. Good acting for the most part in those characters. So yeah, I say give it a watch. Like it's an hour and 45-ish, 50 minutes. Maybe a little less than that because a good portion of that runtime is just credits. So maybe like an hour and 30 minutes, maybe a little longer. Um, I think it's worth a watch personally, and I think it's also great to just support a film that has a lot of people of color in it. So I'm gonna give it a B, and yeah, that's all I have to say. I think that maybe in a couple weeks, once the film's been out for a while, and I feel like everybody's um, who wanted to watch it is gonna watch it. I may talk a little bit about like certain key plot points, but because I wanted this to be a spoiler-free review, there were certain plot points I stayed away from because I want you to be able to watch it. And with that, I'm going to call it a night. Thank you so much to those who will watch and have a great night. Thanks for listening to my unsolicited opinions. Night night. Stay gay.